The cafe was almost empty when Mira finally let herself cry. She sat by the frosted window, staring at the blurred glow of Christmas lights across the street, her untouched coffee growing cold between her hands. The date had been a disaster. Not the loud, dramatic kind, just a quiet, crushing type where someone looks at you and decides, without much thought, that you're not worth staying for. He left 20 minutes ago, right after appetizers, mumbling something about an early flight. She knew what it really meant. She always did. She wiped her eyes quickly, embarrassed even though no one was watching. Or so she thought. Why are you sad? Mira looked down. A little girl stood beside her table, maybe 4 years old, with messy brown curls tucked under a knit hat and eyes so wide and worried it made Myra's throat tighten all over again. "Oh, sweetie, I'm okay," Mira said softly, forcing a smile. "Just a long day." The girl tilted her head, unconvinced. Then, without asking, she stepped forward and wrapped her small arms around Myra's waist. It was a kind of hug that didn't ask for permission or explanation, just pure, unfiltered kindness from someone too young to second-guess it. Mira froze for half a second, then gently placed a hand on the girl's back, feeling something crack open inside her chest. "Thank you," she whispered. "Ellie." A man's voice cut through the moment, breathless and panicked. He appeared a second later, rushing toward them with a takeout bag in one hand, and concern written all over his face. "I'm so sorry," she just took off. I turned around for 2 seconds and... "It's okay," Mira said quickly, looking up at him. He was tall, a little disheveled, with kind eyes and the exhausted look of someone who hadn't slept well in weeks. She didn't do anything wrong. Ellie pulled back just enough to look up at her dad. "She was crying, Daddy." I gave her a hug. The man's expression softened. He crouched down beside his daughter, brushing a curl out of her face. "That was really sweet of you, Bug." Then he stood, meeting Myra's gaze with an apologetic smile. "I'm Rowan, and this is Ellie, apparently the world's smallest therapist." Mira laughed, surprising herself. Mira, and honestly, she might be better at it than most adults. Rowan hesitated, glancing at the empty seat across from her, then at the cafe counter where their order was probably getting cold. "Look, I know this is random, but we were about to sit down and eat. If you're not in a rush, you're welcome to join us. No pressure. Just, you seem like you could use some company. And Ellie's already decided you're her friend, so..." Mira should have said no. She didn't know these people. She'd just been stood up on Christmas Eve and probably looked like a mess. But something about the way Ellie was still holding onto her sleeve and the way Rowan looked at her, not with pity but with quiet understanding, made her nod. "Okay," she said. "Yeah, I like that." They ended up talking for over an hour. Ellie chattered about her preschool play, about how she wanted to be a reindeer but got cast as a tree, which she decided was actually better because trees didn't have to remember any lines. Rowan laughed more easily than Mira expected, though she noticed the tiredness never fully left his eyes. He worked from home as a freelance graphic designer. He told her. It gave him flexibility with Ellie, which he needed. He didn't say why right away, but Mira could sense the weight behind it. When they finally stood to leave, Ellie hugged Mira again. "Will I see you again?" she asked, looking up with such hopeful sincerity that Mira felt her heart twist. "I hope so," Mira said, meaning it more than she expected. Rowan handed her his phone. "If you ever want to grab coffee, or if you just need someone to talk to, feel free to text. No expectations. Just, it was nice meeting you." Mira typed in her number, handed it back, and walked home feeling lighter than she had in months. Over the next few weeks, Mira found herself woven into their lives in small, unexpected ways. Rowan texted her a few days later, asking if she wanted to join them at a park. Then it was a Saturday morning at the library. Then dinner at their place because Ellie insisted Mira had to see her new coloring books. Somewhere along the way, Mira started staying later, helping with bedtime stories when Rowan looked too worn out to keep his eyes open. She'd read Ellie in different voices, making her giggle until she finally drifted off, and Rowan would stand in the doorway, watching with a look Mira couldn't quite name. One night, after Ellie was asleep, they sat on the couch with mugs of tea, and Rowan finally told her, I'm not a widower, he said quietly. I know people probably assume that. Single dad, no mom in the picture. But it's not that. He stared into his cup. Her mom and I were married for 3 years. It was bad. Really bad. She was controlling in ways I didn't even realize until I was already trapped in it. She decided what I wore, who I talked to, how I spent my time. She'd check my phone, accuse me of things I never did, then apologize and make me feel guilty for being upset. When Ellie was born, I thought it would get better. It got worse. Mira didn't say anything. She just waited. I finally left when Ellie was 2, he continued. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. Her mom didn't fight for custody. She didn't really want it. She just didn't want to have it either. We settled eventually, but she's unpredictable. She'll go months without contact, then show up out of nowhere and try to make me feel like I stole something from her. It messes with my head. I'm still working through it. I'm sorry, Mira said softly. That's not something you should have had to go through. I'm okay now, he said, though his voice wavered. Mostly, but it's hard to trust people. Hard to let anyone in. I don't want Ellie growing up thinking that's what love looks like. She won't, Mira said, because she has you, and you're showing her something better. He looked at her then, really looked, and for the first time since they met, Mira saw something in his expression that felt like hope. Ellie started calling her my sparkle friend, a name that made no logical sense but stuck anyway. She'd ask for Mira at bedtime, at breakfast, at the grocery store. Rowan would apologize, but Mira never minded. She loved the way Ellie's face lit up when she walked through the door. She loved the way Rowan had started smiling more, the way he'd brush his hand against hers when they sat close, the way he looked at her sometimes like he was trying to convince himself it was okay to want this. But then the holiday fair happened. It was a Saturday afternoon, the kind of small-town event with hot cocoa stands and carolers and kids running around in scarves. Mira had gone with Rowan and Ellie, holding Ellie's hand as they wandered through booths selling handmade ornaments. Everything felt warm and easy until a voice called out behind them, Rowan. Mira felt him go still beside her. She turned and saw a woman walking toward them, sharp-eyed and brittle-smiled. She looked at Ellie first, then at Mira, then back at Rowan. Didn't know you were bringing company, she said, her tone friendly in a way that didn't reach her eyes. Who's this? This is Mira, Rowan said carefully. She's a friend. A friend. The woman's smile tightened. She crouched down in front of Ellie. Hi, baby. Do you remember Mommy? Ellie hesitated, then nodded, but didn't let go of Myra's hand. The woman stood again, her gaze landing on Mira. It's nice that Rowan has help, but Ellie already has a mother. I know how easy it is to get attached, but just so we're clear, you're not replacing me. Myra's stomach dropped. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. That's enough, Rowan said, his voice low and firm. You don't get to do this. I'm just being honest, the woman said lightly. I'm sure she's lovely, but let's not confuse things for Ellie, okay? She walked away before anyone could respond, and Mira stood there feeling like the ground had shifted under her feet. Rowan reached for her hand. Mira, it's fine, she said quickly, pulling away. I should go. I'll see you later. She left before he could stop her. The next few days, Mira kept her distance. She didn't answer Rowan's text right away. She made excuses when he asked her to come over. She told herself it was for the best. She didn't want to cause problems. She didn't want to be the reason things got complicated for Ellie. But then, on a Thursday afternoon, she found something in her mailbox. It was a folded piece of construction paper, covered in crayon drawings, stars, hearts, a wobbly house. Inside, in careful, shaky letters, it said, Will you stay in our life, please? Love, Ellie. Mira sat on her front step and cried. That evening, Rowan showed up at her door. He looked tired, but his eyes were clear. I should have said this sooner, he started. But I was scared. Scared of messing this up. Scared of dragging you into something messy. But, Mira, you're not a complication. You're the best thing that's happened to us in a long time. Ellie loves you. He stopped, swallowed. I love you. And I don't want you to leave because of her, because of fear. I want you to stay. If you'll have us." Myra's chest ached in the best way. She stepped forward and wrapped her arms around him, and he held her like he'd been waiting to for weeks. "I'm not going anywhere," she whispered. "I'm staying." And for the first time in a long time, Mira believed in beginnings again.